Be right back.
It's okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. Troy had to step away for a minute, but he will be back. That's him stomping in the background, as you can hear. But I'll say hi to the chat while he has stepped away. Hello, Big Al. I believe you were first. Have a great stream, you geezers. Hope everyone has a wonderful week ahead. What's up, fellow geezers? I think Marvel has quietly canceled the Blade reboot that has been in development hell for 6 years. I say this because it was off schedule at D23. I don't understand why they're trying to do a Blade reboot. Blade has to be R. And I guess the Deadpool Wolverine movie they put out was R, but they don't have... Back before Marvel was bought by Disney, they had started almost a line of movies called Marvel Knights. And my idea was Marvel Knights was going to be like the darker Marvel movies, like your Punisher movies, your Ghost Rider movies might fall under this moniker. And I imagined if they had Blade under that moniker, because at that point they came up with Marvel Knights, they weren't doing Blade movies anymore. Blade would also been under Marvel Knights. But when Disney bought them out, I think everything has to be PG-13, but so I don't know if we were going to get a PG-13 Blade movie. I don't know. I really love that original Blade movie, and I just don't know if they would do it justice. But welcome, Connie Cleary. Welcome, Rose Fire. All hail the Lords of Geezerdom. Let the beer and ale flow. I had some cider on Friday, but no beer tonight. Let's see. Welcome, Deleted Scenes. Thank you for your unscripted raids. Y'all should check out his show prior to my stream, also afterwards. He's on... The Other Side of Midnight. That'll be on tonight, 12:05. But JPRPH1, hail folks, welcome. So I'm going to have a question for Troy when he gets back. And we'll see how he answers that question, just so you know. Good gracious, it's time for Geeky Geezers. Hello, welcome to Penzek. And Curtis Selby, welcome. Let's see here. And Horizon Talker. All right. So that brings us to where we are. I'm going to ask Troy if he saw the Borderlands movie this weekend. Anyone in the chat see the Borderlands movie? Anyone? I don't know. But I'll find out as soon as he gets back from wherever he was. Cider sounds good. An ice cold hard apple cider was on a hot summer night with a basket of fries. And I should have had a basket of fries with it. That would have been nice. But no, I just had the hard cider. I didn't even have any chips, or as the English call them, crisps. I kind of get why the English call chips crisps, because chips tend to be crisp, I guess. I don't get why they call fries chips. I guess because they chip them off the potato. I've never understood that, but I know England's going through a bit of a rough patch. I know Deleted Scenes was talking about that earlier tonight. But anyways, trying to think what else is going on. Well, let me go ahead and upload my slides while I wait for Troy. One thing we will not be talking about tonight, because it, for some reason, didn't make it into the notes, was that at QuakeCon, there is a new release of Doom 1 and 2. And if you already have Doom 1 or 2 purchased on whatever console or PC you use, you will get Doom 1 and 2 remastered for free. Or you can buy it for $9.99, or if you want to wait 1 month, you can wait for it to go on sale for $3.99. That's usually what happens. But, hello?
Really talking about the prices of alcohol?
We are talking about Doom 1 and 2, which was not in the notes, but that's okay. We have enough to talk about tonight.
Oh, did I miss that?
It's okay. No. Don't worry about it. You've had a lot on your plate this week. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
I had this gaming section and everything.
It's okay. We could talk about the miserable stuff in the gaming instead of the thing. Here's the deal, though. Is this really news? Doom 1 and 2 remastered. Yes, it's a new version of Doom 1 and 2 that you can buy. If you already own Doom 1 or 2, you get it for free. It's like a more streamlined package. It comes with different soundtracks in it, too. Like, there's a hardcore metal redoing of all the classic Doom songs in it, too. You can also play with the old FM synth. You know what I'm talking about?
Is the new stuff like... Is it like licensed stuff? Like
No, it's like someone did the Doom music, but with hard guitars and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Not bad. And I got Troy Quake 2.
Yes.
So we can cuss about that later.
Oh gosh, I swear. I'm playing Quake 1, right? And I'm playing, goes level by level, right? And I enjoy finding, the hidden stuff and the so on and so forth. But it's like I'm barely just remembering how to do the controls, the inventory, change my gun, which is the best gun to use right now, which ammunition do I have and do I need? I'm not that sophisticated with these games, right? But I'm getting through. But what's the most annoying is not which gun you use, it's not which ammo you use, well, sometimes it is. You don't want something that blows up when you're standing right next to the ammo.
Like the grenade.
Yes.
Or the missile launcher, yes.
But then there's I just died because this guy is too close to me. So next time I go through that portal, I gotta back up and shoot. Oh, I still screwed up. Or, I went the wrong way. I walked right into the effer. And it's like, damn. And Netter's like, what the heck are you playing?
Doom is about... What'd she say? What'd she say?
No, because she's not used... If I'm playing like Star Trek Online, it's like, I died again. Whatever. These people don't know how to play. But with Doom, it's like, damn.
Quake.
Damn. Oh, yeah, Quake. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now,
Quake.
if you want, there is a mod you can download for free in Doom called Q Doom, which is Doom remade in Quake. Do not do this. I consider that an abomination. I like Doom. I like Quake. They are two different things.
Never the twain shall meet.
I don't want to play Doom with Quake controls. It's weird. It weirded me out. It actually hurt my playthrough. I went to try playing regular Doom afterwards, and it felt weird. And I'm like, no, I'm deleting this mod from my collection. We're not keeping Q Doom. We're getting rid of it. It was someone wanting to do an experiment, but it was ill-advised. Anyway,
I understand the idea behind it, because if you think about... Well, the gameplay is similar, right? First-person shooter.
You think they are until you play Q Doom, and then you realize, no, Doom has its own feel. Quake has its own feel.
Yeah. But I think the idea is, it's tempting to think of the two taking place in the same universe somehow.
Well, I don't know if they do or not. But that's the thing. Quake 2 does not take place in the same universe as Quake 1. Quake 2 is... They almost wanted to call it something else, but I think they wanted to keep the Quake name to sell it.
Right, and you were telling me about Quake 2.
Mad.
As far as gameplay goes, you don't have to have played the one to play the other.
No.
They're compartmentalized.
No, it's you're fighting off an alien invasion. I think the aliens hit your Earth, and then you're going back to you're trying to hit their stronghold to hit back, and like you're the last surviving member of like a space marine corps that hits the planet or whatever. And it's more science fiction. It's still plenty gory, and it's got a heavy metal soundtrack, but it's it is and it isn't Quake. That's what I want to say. What else did I want to say to you, though? I have to tell you, I can't really sympathize with you because I play Quake with a controller, which most PC guys would make fun of me because they play their first-person shooters.
No. It's. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to controllers, no. I get you. I am a PC guy because I like to be able to have everything in one place.
Okay.
But I do understand that if you are a console player, you get used to those controllers, and there is value to those controllers. Look, the only thing I got to relate to that is, well, I've played the Wii. I've told you about that, right?
Yes, that's all. That was a wireless mouse, if you think about the Wiimote.
Kinda, yeah. And the Atari 2600 joystick, right? But let me tell you, a joystick over, the arrow buttons. Come on, there's a visceral feel to that,
Well, should you ever be interested, I believe Xbox One and Xbox Series controllers, I think they're completely backwards compatible with anything PC. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure because it's Microsoft. So I think their controllers will also work with PC games. So if you ever felt like getting a controller, they're wireless. They take two AA's. And
that's interesting. I might have to look into that. I always imagined.
Yeah, they go on sale sometimes too. Usually they're $60, but you can probably get it on sale for $40.
I was going to say, I always imagine that for a lot of these games that I'm playing on PC, I'm guessing that there are controllers that I could use that probably are USB pluggy,
Yeah, another good company that puts out controllers. I think they can sometimes be a little less than the Microsoft ones. 8-bit Dough, and they might even make wired USB things you can plug in as
Sure.
well. 8-bit Dough, I think they're a good company too, but they're different style controllers, but they're pretty well made too.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we are. What are we rambling about? Games. Are we here for games? I wanted to ask you a question. I told the chat
Sure.
I'd ask you a question while you were out.
Okay.
Did you see Borderlands 2? I mean, sorry, did you see Borderlands the movie? There we go.
No, I have no interest.
You have no
I
interest.
completely lost interest when Jamie Lee Curtis started shooting off her mouth. I'm like, I'm done with you. I'm not interested. And then when I saw the preview for Borderlands,
Do
I
you
was
not like
like,
strong women in your movies? Is that what the problem is?
oh, I have no problem with strong women. And let me tell you, Borderland characters. Although I've never played the games, I had a lot of friends that
Right.
cosplayed it, so I know these characters at least through
Right.
through the cosplay. And it's like, and nothing against, oh, what's her name that played the old one from Doctor Strange.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, nothing against her or anything, but looking at all the other characters, it's like these aren't just, strong women. These are strong grandmas, and it's like these are not who are supposed to be playing these.
No, you're thinking of Kate
characters, so.
Blanchett.
Oh, Kate Blanchett. No, I'm
Kate
sorry.
Blanchett's who's in that.
Kate
I guess they're
Blanchett.
similar. They're both British, right?
And a little too old for the character. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, no. I know. No.
Anyone else?
Yeah, no, I am an old one. You're absolutely right, Tim. And I'm not ageist. I am just of the mind that you need to cast the characters, for the role you're playing. Okay, look, I don't want to see, some young boy playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, in a in a film that should be, some 50-year-old guy, right? It's just.
No.
It has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with age, right? Cast appropriately.
Anyone else's eyeball still aching after watching the CGI dwarves in the Snow White trailer? Yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize Disney had their big unveiling this week, and we may have to talk about that next week.
Yeah,
I think I saw the trailer for Star Wars.
That's the other
Crew.
one. I kind of went off a little bit on social media about that. It's like we originally we're not going to be using little people to play the dwarves because Peter Dinklage backwards ass BS logic, right? And then, oh no, wait a minute, we're gonna do dwarves, but we just won't have them played by little people. So screw your DEI. We're not going to hire, people of size for this role. F you, Disney. Just F you.
All right.
You're on the wrong side of this no matter how you come at this. It's like you're purposely going out of your way to piss off everybody. You've pissed off the little people, actors. You've pissed off Peter Dinklage, right? You've pissed off people that just care about making the movie the way it was meant to be made. You just pissed off everybody. Plus, you've spent 5 times as much as it cost to make this damn movie, and you're not even going to break even. You are screwed no matter what you do. Not to mention, I love the people that are coming out and saying, magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And it's Gal Gadot saying it. That magic mirror is a fucking liar if it says anybody but you, my queen. Yeah, I know that the script says I'm supposed to say this stupid ass girl, who's all full of herself. Weird, but I gotta say her to make the movie happen.
To be fair, I found the queen of the original Snow White fairer than the actual Snow White in the movie.
You mean the original cartoon?
Yes. Granted,
there was something about that wimple that she wears is kind of a little yeah.
There was an Australian actress she was on some mystery series where she was going after, I think, a corrupt law firm or something, but I looked at this actress, and she looked like an adult Snow White, and she had kind of like the dark hair and the the porcelain skin, but she also had she just looked great. I thought she would have been perfect to play in a Snow White movie, but probably now she's too old. But anyway,
let me say one other thing about this. They miss the whole effing point about fairest. What does it mean to be fair, right? You have a beautiful queen, right?
Yes.
Who's probably just starting to push the aging thing. She's maybe seen a few gray hairs. She's maybe seen a couple of crow's feet at the edge of her eyes, right? She's losing her youth, right? Whereas Snow White is a young girl. She is innocent. All of this BS that the girl was saying on the red carpet, the true and fair and, the best leader she could be and blah, 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 and this and that, doesn't need no man. No. None of that applies to Snow White because she's not even thinking about that crap. She's thinking about picking flowers and not caring about things because she's a child, right? I know that this is Disney and they want to destroy childhood and innocence in every damn way that they can. But that's what Snow White's supposed to be about. Pure, innocent, like the driven snow, right?
Yes.
But. So that is supposed to be, and that is when the wicked queen, right, does that polymorph spell to turn herself into an old crone to tempt her with that apple. That's an ironic act. Because she's literally feeding into, giving up her youth, all of it, to take on this form to bring down, the innocent Snow White. It's supposed to be, oh my gosh, yeah, you're definitely not the fairest one anymore. You gave up all your beauty that you had left because you wanted to destroy Snow White. Which, of course, if you look at the modern audience, that's exactly what they want to do. They want to destroy everything because it's not what they, it's not what they want. And it's not what they like, right? So they can't do that story anymore.
Give me one moment. I'm going to share a picture of that actress I was telling you about. Hold on a second. But yeah, well, here's the deal, too. Look at when Snow White came out, too. It came out in the 30s, Great Depression, right?
Right.
People were kind of down. They needed to pick me up.
Right.
But...
And Rosefire makes a great point. I have not seen Jordan Peterson's treatment on the fairy tales that she describes here. But now I'd kind of really like to because I get what you're saying.
Kind of have to turn your head. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'll get a better picture. Maybe if we cover the D3 stuff next week. But I thought she would have made a perfect Snow White. But all right. But here we are, Geeky Geezers. Let's talk about the good old days, shall we?
Tell me about the good old days. I have no idea what you're going to say about the good old days. This is one time I'm not keyed in to begin with. Superman 2?
Yes.
Interesting.
You like that poster?
Kneel before Zod.
The adventure continues. Miraculously freed from
the Phantom Zone, really.
From, I don't know, something I can't even read that. But yeah, here we are. These are the.
I guess if I blow this up, I might be able to see what the.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Oh, from Eternal Orbit.
Okay.
The three outlaws from Krypton descend on Earth for the ultimate confrontation. So this was before Marvel started doing all their, end credit, shenanigans. This was a very interesting, and of course there's story behind the scenes, why it was done this way. Mm-hmm. But it was like the establishing scene of Superman sets up the sequel. Now, that wasn't their original intent, but that's basically how it comes down.
This is no fantasy, no child, and of course that's the joke, is people going to see Superman think this is a fantasy, a child's story. And you have you have Marlon Brando as Jor-El saying, "This is no fantasy," and of course he's talking about the trial of the 3 supervillains.
Not the movie that he's in and whatnot. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But here we go. Were you hyped for this when this was coming out? That's my next question for you, because you might have been more aware of this movie than I was. I, of course, saw it as a child. I saw it on TV, not in the theater. But
all of this, the Superman from the first movie, the second movie, had a very different ring for all the generations that this was hitting, right? So my mom grew up with George Reeve, right? The Adventures of Superman and whatnot. And to some degree I did too. But I was also much more reading the comics, definitely the cartoons, right? The Super Friends and so on and so forth. So I was in, just like my mom was, into that whole, Superman ducking into the phone booth. I know the younger audience is going, what the hell's a phone booth, right? But ducking into the phone booth to change into Superman and so forth. So when you see the first Superman movie and you have that whole bit, first time he's in Metropolis and he needs to, rescue, big profile rescue. Basically, he's going to rescue Lois, who's in the helicopter, right?
I remember that.
He's got to change into Superman. The first thing he does is he looks at, I guess you can't call it a phone booth. It was like a phone kiosk.
Yes.
And that wasn't going to work for changing.
That was a joke in the movie. He's like,
but it's a joke to all of us that knew about the whole, phone booth thing, right? So he's got to come up with, throughout the film and the subsequent films, creative ways to change into Superman, and it's kind of neat. But we had this setup for the second movie from the first one, the trial. Yeah. We see just before Jor-El has to try and sell the whole Krypton's going to be destroyed, we've got to survive. We see this trial of the Phantom Zone villains, or who would be the Phantom Zone villains. And it's ironic because this sentencing of the Phantom to the Phantom Zone, in a way, allows them to escape the destruction of Krypton, just like Baby Kal-El is going to escape, just in a different fashion, in a different way.
Yes. And it was interesting because there is this setup. You have the thing coming out from the sky, the
whatever you call it, the rift,
the glass mirror, whatever it was. And I'm sorry, that was a cool visual from the 70s.
It was. It was.
That is kind of iconic. And then you go through the regular Superman story, and he stops Lex Luthor's dastardly plot to send California into the sea, and then reverses the Earth's orbit to reverse time. I'm not sure how that would work, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He saves Lois, and he takes Lex Luthor to the prison. Problem solved. But of course, the problem wasn't solved. But actually, it was solved because, of course, I'm talking about the Richard Lester. We're talking about the theatrical version here.
So yes. Yeah. I've talked about this so many times. I can be pretty succinct about it. So, Lex Luthor's original plan with the two, which ironically, the two nuclear missiles going in two different directions, right? Even Superman can't stop them both. And tell me that doesn't make you think of the whole thing from The Dark Knight, with the two
Harvey Dent and his love, love was
right. You can't save, you can't rescue them both, kind of thing. That was clearly an intentional thing. It's a trope I've stolen too in my Dungeons and Dragons game. But anyway, the point was, Superman comes up with a clever way that he can save them both. He can stop both nuclear missiles, right? He is honor bound by a promise that he has made to Miss Teskmacher, that of the two, he will choose to stop the
because
missile.
She saved him, because she doesn't want her mom getting killed. Yes.
Exactly. So he promises her. He is released to go and stop that one, and he stops that missile and pushes it up into space where it explodes relatively safely, right? Then he sees it's too late to stop the one that hits California, these days a lot of us are saying, well, good, just let it be. You're better off that way, right?
Yes.
But especially when you consider the whole, San Andreas Fault thing and the whole Plaza del Lex and Otisburg, Miss Teskmacher's got her own little, it's an itty-bitty place.
No.
It causes, a section of California to, break away from the rest of the United States, which now I've come to find out results in an island state. What is it? San Angeles, which of course is the premise for Demolition Man.
Yes.
But yeah, you mentioned the going back in time, and this is important. He wasn't able to stop both of them, but if he was in two places at once, then he could. So what he does is he goes back in time, and although he's not able to stop the bomb from hitting, he's able to mitigate all of the damage by being in two places at once. While the original Superman is stopping the missile and putting it out into space, the one that would have hit Hackensack, New Jersey, he then goes back in time and, prevents the fault from breaking apart, and all this other stuff, ends up saving a lot of people, including Lois Lane. So the original storyline was that missile that from Hackensack that he pushes off into space was supposed to open up the rift to the Phantom Zone that would have released the Phantom Zone villains.
Yes, which you can see in the Richard Donner cut, actually.
Which you see in the Richard Donner cut. However, because of the way they split up the two movies, they had to reestablish that whole missile in space thing. So they came up with the whole
French terrorists at the Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower.
To be fair, it's not a bad sequence. I'll say that.
It's not. It was just an unnecessary one.
I remember there's a scene where Perry White is saying, "You haven't heard these terrorists in France have had this missile," and then Clark goes, "That's terrible. That's why they call them terrorists, Ken."
I know. That's a funny line.
So there's still some good stuff in there, even though it was not in the Donner's original intent. But one of the parts I love in this movie is the prison break from Lex Luthor. How you see him and Otis sitting there, played by Ned Beatty over there, and Gene Hackman, and they're playing chess, and the guard comes there, lights out Luthor, and they're not paying attention, and then suddenly you realize he walks in front of it, and it's a projector.
It's like a holographic projector, yeah, exactly.
And it had that kind of eerie music playing, and you realize Lex Luthor still is a formidable villain, even when he's in prison. He will figure out a way out, right?
He's clever, yeah.
Yeah, and I did like what Rosefire said. He still wears a white cravat, yes.
Yes.
Austin Powers would approve. So Lex Luthor wants to go off to
Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, he says Superman always goes north. Where does he go?
Yeah. So he's going to find out.
So he's going to find out, and he finds the Fortress of Solitude, and it's here that he learns about that. Oh, Krypton! Didn't they put in a thing about I think I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree. Then he's like, oh, I like trees, and Mr. Tessmacher says, yeah, so does your average Cocker Spaniel.
Right, exactly.
And but then he finds out that on Krypton, there were actually 3 individuals in their society which were not
my kind of people. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They were criminals, arch criminals, and he's like, "Oh, these are my kind of people."
Yeah.
So he learns about them from that by going in here, and I guess.
And this is very. Yes, it's the Donnerish, tongue-in-cheek kind of Lex Luthor, but there's also a very comic book accurate element to this.
Yeah.
Because it would totally be like Lex to go discover the Kryptonian technology, start learning everything he could to take advantage of it as best he could. And this has actually happened many, many times in the comics.
Yes.
So this is not, and, of course, I love that... how do they get around? Oh, we don't want to have to give royalties to Marlon Brando again, so they bring back his mom, which I think was also very good too.
I don't know. The idea was, doesn't it kind of ruin the sacrifice thing, because the whole idea is that Jor-El has to sacrifice himself to get Kal-El back his powers.
But in a way, they both have sacrificed themselves.
I know, but
the idea that that the computer was able to keep alive both of them to a degree.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I kind of like that. Working with what you have, I was really good with that.
Here are our 3 supervillains. Terrence Stamp as the great General Zod. I forget who plays Ursa, but the nice looking lady. That's all I'm gonna say. She kind of reminds me of the villain on Blake 7. Remember her?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. And who's the big guy's name? I keep forgetting.
His name is Nod.
Nod, yes.
Yeah.
Who's almost like a brute guy that has no real intelligence or whatever. He's just. I think all 3 of these show up in the.
I did want to just before we get too far away from it. Yeah, Sarah Douglas is the one that played Ursa. Those of you that were also fans of the '80s series V, she played Pamela. Oh. When Netter and I met Sarah Douglas in Metropolis, we picked up. You buy what you do is you buy a print, and they sign it. So that's how you kind of like pay for the autograph, right? And I picked up. I think Netter got one of her as Ursa, but I picked up Pamela, and she wasn't. We were talking with her as she was getting ready to sign, so she wasn't paying attention. She got my name, she starts signing it, and she looks down. She's like, "Oh, I'm signing this as Ursa. This is Pamela." And I'm like, "Oh, that's okay." She goes, No, it's not okay. And she gets another print for me to redo it and everything. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm obviously at a Superman con. I was dressed as Lex Luthor, But I'm like, first I saw you, and that was my. And she's like, yeah, that was a fun character to play. She's like, they're both villains, but Pamela was just snazzy. I'm like, that's the perfect word, snazzy.
Didn't Terrence Stamp voice Jor-El in Smallville series? Yes, he did.
He absolutely did.
And I believe, was it Julian Sands who played him physically when the cloning thing happened?
Yes,
and
he did.
So there was some good stuff there. But here this scene always bothered me as a kid. I felt bad for the poor astronauts. What are they going to do? Where's Superman? When this is going on, you have
the other thing that bothered me about this was, and I did love that, right? You had the American and Russian, right?
Yes, yeah,
doing a joint moon mission. But the problem was the whole talking in space thing that just took me all completely out of it.
Oh, not the breathing in space thing. That doesn't take you out of it.
Well, you could argue maybe as Kryptonians they don't need to breathe in space, but you can't, even if you don't have to breathe, you still need air in order to carry.
All right, that's true.
On
Superman the animated series, this was a change they did. I don't know, this probably isn't from the comics, but he wore a spacesuit. He wore a special suit in space.
That's cool.
It might have been out of titanium.
That was probably directly addressing it. The other thing that I've seen changed, they may have done this in the animated because they've done this in the comics.
Yeah.
Ursa was not originally a character from the comics. There was another female character that was very much
Mala?
like her. I can't remember.
On Superman the animated series, they didn't do General Zod. They did Joxor and Mala. And part of me wonders, were these other bad Kryptonians?
Jaxor was a different villain. The thing is, though, that General Zod...
He's basically filling in the General Zod role on the animated.
General Zod was in the movies. He was in the comics. He's always been.
Yeah.
But for why they changed the name of the female, I don't know. But now both have become canonical in the comics. Yeah. The other thing, the Jax-Ur character was more like Nod. So that was another... They've kind of combined the characters in some tellings. They've had them separately in other tellings.
Yeah, it was Mala. Okay, I thought so. Anyway,
this dumb kid.
He had
it coming.
What was it? I know this movie came out in the 80s, but it was being filmed in the 70s. There's something about kids in 70s movies that makes you want to slap them.
Yeah.
Was this like the boomer attitude toward kids? Because a lot of them were becoming parents, and maybe they were like, the devil generation between the Omen, between the bratty kids in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now you have this kid in Superman 2. And heaven forbid if the kid is a redhead. That's like even worse. I noticed that in these movies.
Yeah.
But look at this kid. He's like, "Hey, mom, look at me," and she's like, "Get off of there! You're gonna kill yourself." Which, to be fair, the mom's doing her job, and the mom's looking at something, and he goes back out there and says, "Mom, look at me," and he's doing it. And then he misses the thing. And I did timing, and I know Superman's fast, but I guess it is at the split second fast because like the kid's falling off. He's going. This is in Niagara Falls. When they're up visiting Niagara Falls for that. And then here we go, Superman bringing the kid back in the crowds. Like, and this is when Lois Lane, this actually was kind of smart writing, even though I think, was this changed? They might have kept this in the Donner version. I'm not sure.
No, it was a completely different, same concept, different story.
But I like what she does in the theatrical version. She goes, "Yeah, Superman, you couldn't even say hi." And it's like, what is Superman doing in Canada, Niagara Falls?
Right.
And Clark, as usual, is nowhere to be seen.
Right.
And she's like, "This is a weird coincidence," and she kind of dismisses it. Yeah. And I think she also got a little weirded out because she was trying to clean his glasses and saw his face, and it's like a disconnect, like something is clicking in her head, but she doesn't know what it is.
Right.
Yeah, and I know that she eventually, I think she jumps into the thing herself, figuring Superman's going to rescue her, and then I think he shoots a branch off a tree so she can grab onto it, and Clark gets her out, and she's like, "I guess I feel pretty stupid," but then of course his hand falls into the flames and it doesn't burn, right?
Yeah, and he has to kind of admit he's pushed it too far. He can't overcome it anymore. Yeah, in the Donner cut they used a different take where it was they didn't even do the whole thing in Niagara Falls.
It was
they were at the they were at the Daily Plant. Oh yeah, that's what it was.
But they did at the Daily Plant where she's drawing the glasses on Superman next to
exactly. Clark. But then to prove, she jumps out of the window. And he, again, doesn't want to reveal himself, so he makes an awning open up so that she bounces and lands into some fruit or something like that.
Which means that was a cut scene that they didn't use. I mean, it's very interesting to watch both cuts. Apparently, there's a third cut of this, which I think people call the television cut, which has more scenes of the Richard Lester version, though. Yeah.
There is, yes, the television cut. What's crucial about it? You wouldn't have the Donner cut today if it weren't for that. The fans were trying to the European version, the American version, the television version. Yep. They were trying to splice together the best they could the Donner cut, and Warner Brothers tried to shut it down. And they were like, "Look, we just want this Donner cut. If you would do this, we'd buy the thing." And that's how we ended up getting the Donner cut, with getting Donner back to say, "Yeah, this is what I would have done."
Yes.
Using the best that they had, in fact, I think they even used some footage from the what do you call it? The
screen tests.
Screen tests. Yeah, exactly. That's where the thing with the blanks comes from.
The gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But what I like, though, was, he takes her off to the Fortress of Solitude. I'll say this, between Richard Lester and Donner did not like Lester's sense of humor in these movies, because Lester's a British director.
Right.
And there was something off about it, like the whole sleazy hotel suite.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of sleaze mixed in here, which
Lester had this he was taking it hokey because that's how he saw it does. That's how he saw superheroes, and the whole reason that Superman worked, the whole adage that Donner always said. He said verisimilitude. That was the word he lived by. He said you can have the villains be goofy, you could have all kinds of craziness going on in the world, but Superman has to be Superman, and he's got to take it seriously. He is not joking this isn't farce like because let's face it, the Batman in the Adam West story took it seriously, but it was a farce. It was done as a joke. Yes. And when Superman says, I stand for truth, justice, and the American way, well, then you'll be, taking on every politician in Washington. Joke, until Superman goes, you don't really mean that, Lois. And everyone in the audience is just like, oh. And then you feel bad for thinking that, right?
How can we expect things to get better if we don't have faith?
Exactly. You're so pessimistic. Yes. I'm here to make things better because they need to be made better. Yeah, I know it's bad,
And
but you got to have a vision in order to make it right.
And the weird thing is, I'll say this carries through in Batman too, like in The Dark Knight when you have the two boats with the the Joker set this thing up, or one group is going to have to press the button before the other group, or both ships blow up, and who's going to do it first, right? And you have the civilians on the one boat, and then you have the criminals on the other boat, right, that are being transferred. Who's going to blow the other up, and then both sides decide we're not going to be the ones to do it, both the criminals and the civilians. And you realize,
I love the villain taking the thing and throwing it out, doing what you should have done, and he throws it out the window. It's like, really, man. I love what Nate said, and this is true. Richard Donner wanted Lois to find out that Clark was Superman at the end of the first movie. They filmed the scene where Clark comes, the whole thing with the blanks. His original idea was that she loses her memory of it, not because of a choice, a magic, roofie kiss. It was he in order to save her, he has to go back and change history, and that's how she ends up losing her memory. He's giving up his possible relationship with her in order to bring her back to life. He couldn't have them both. That made for a great story. That's not how it plays out in either version, though, and that's kind of sad. The idea of her not knowing and finding out rather soon on, I'm fine with, as long as it at least starts out with her not knowing, But anyway.
Thank you. And thank you for the comment, Rosefire. I would also argue that Batman throws it back in the Joker's face, saying they're not. He believes in the people of Gotham. You do not. That's the thing. But I saw a documentary that the director of the TV version of the Hulk hated the comic book. His main inspiration was actually Jean Valjean from the book Les Miserables. Interesting.
That's actually very, very interesting. And that's another example of a live action that deviated but became so iconic in its own right that a lot of it worked its way into the comics, into subsequent developments. You look at that Ed Norton, and it's very clear that they are paying good homage to the David Banner, the Bill Bixby version. They even use the same musical cues when he continues his quest to find a cure and stay away from society.
And when he's on the run again, they played that same musical cue. Look at this, though. You have Superman and Lois Lane, then basically the love is on. Okay, they are, and he decides he's going to give up his powers.
Give up his superpowers for her,
This was a mistake, but we understand why he does it.
Right. And he doesn't know that there's Kryptonians coming to...
He doesn't know there's supervillains. Let's be honest with you. We've had Lex Luthor, and I would argue Lex Luthor's a supervillain, but he uses his intellect.
You're right. Up to this point in his story, it's all just real-world people. It didn't take Superman to bring down Lex Luthor. I don't know... Scotland Yard could have brought him down. Interpol, whatever.
Perhaps. Of course, I always argue that any Superman villain has to have one thing in common. They have to have the ability to be able to kill Superman. Otherwise,
exactly.
Like the Toy Man or Lex Luthor or the Parasite or anything. But here we go, and this is when he gets beat up in the diner
by just a redneck bully.
Yeah, regular bully who and it has a payoff at the end of the movie though, which I won't spoil for you if you haven't seen it. There's some good comeuppance there. I actually like the fact he's a Boy Scout, but not a complete Boy Scout.
What gets me here in that scene is that line about I don't care about any of this. I just, want the man I love. Well, I'm sorry he's not here, Lois. Because he feels like, I guess it's really Superman and not Clark that you were in love with. I don't feel like they did enough with that because there needed to be that reassurance. That same... Well, I understand him falling for that belief, but Lois needed to refute that.
In her defense, though, and I'm going to say this, what's going on at the same time he's saying this, you have General Zod on TV.
True.
Right?
True. That's true.
Much worse things at stake here. And, of course, who meets up with General Zod at the White House? We have Lex Luthor. And it's kind of funny seeing, like, he holds her hand. He's like, oh, it's like she's starting to squash his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So Lex Luthor says, what's the one thing he's always saving a certain Lois Lane? He says, He's like, look, I just want some beachfront property for helping you out. And he says,
Australia.
Give me Australia and I'll give you Superman. Because they want to go after the son of their jailer because they hate Jor-El. And it's like, well, Kal-El's on here. Next best thing. We can get a revenge on Jor-El for putting us in the Phantom Zone.
Exactly.
And here we have the fight. Can you step outside?
Going back to the setup from the first movie.
Yeah.
You will bow down before me, Jor-El. Both you and one day your heir.
Yes. There was a very, I want to say almost like Faustian or Devil's, but where like he's trying to offer him a deal. Look, your name would be very important in the New Order, second only to my own. And he's probably meaning it, maybe, not sure. Yeah. And, it's one of the few things I liked about Man of Steel. I liked the idea that Zod actually believed Jor-El about Krypton getting blown up. And that's why it's another reason he wanted to get rid of the Kryptonian Senate and kill off the head families, which I thought was interesting. That he actually respected Jor-El's intelligence, and that it fell apart anyway because I don't like that movie. But I thought that was an interesting aspect of that movie. Anyway, going back though, we step outside. We have the big fight in New York City. There's some goofiness when they blow their breath and the guy's ice cream flies on his face. Remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't in the Donner cut. That was a Lester thing he stuck in there.
Yeah, of course.
Let me see.
A lot of product placement, including Marlboros, which
Marlboro cigarettes.
Really annoying.
This is still a 70s movie because it was being shot at the same time as the original Superman. But look at that. You have the big fight in the city, and of course, eventually Superman flies away from the city and says, Superman's running away. And you've always made a point, no, he's trying to lead them out from the city. Yeah. Because they'll end up destroying the whole place. Maybe that should have happened.
And they make it so clear too. He's like, all the people. And the villains even talk about it. He's more concerned about the people than he is about himself. He cares about these people. And Ursa says, you mean like pets? And he goes, I suppose so.
Yeah, he doesn't understand.
And that's when they literally start attacking people. And he realized, I got to get out of here not to protect himself, to protect them.
Yes. And of course, he brings them to the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh, the cellophane-ass. I
had to put this in here.
Stupidest Lester edition.
Is that in the Donner cut, or they get rid of that in the Donner cut?
I'm pretty sure they got rid of it. I don't remember now.
I was like, what is that as a kid? You know? Even in the 80s, when you're a kid in the 80s and you're seeing this stuff, like there's like a disconnect. And I'm thinking, would this make sense to a kid in the 70s, or is this still
No, it did not make sense to any of the kids in the 70s either. It's like, that is not a power he has in the comic book. We all had our who's who in the DC universe. We knew what his powers were. Cellophane S was not one of them.
Christopher Reeve, in my opinion, is the one actor that could play Superman and Clark Kent to a T.
Yeah.
Both. I've seen other actors that do one or the other better. Like, I think I like Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne better than his Batman.
Yeah.
But
Dean Cain, I think, did a better Clark Kent than he did a Superman. He did an okay, passable Superman.
Sure, and I'm not saying any of these actors were bad at the other parts, but yeah.
Let's face it, we'll never know what kind of a Superman Tom Welling would have been. We never friggin' saw it.
Man,
we only ever saw him as Clark.
Wanted to see that so bad. I was hoping they could at least do like in the final season, like a final 10 episodes where he just is Superman. I think that would have been cool, but no, we didn't get that. Oh well. But yeah, of course, there's the big fight at the end. We won't spoil it for you, but Superman saves the day, and according to you, he does not murder. He just swaps powers. He removes their powers, but gets his back.
At the most, it was ambiguous what happens to them. They fall into a ravine or something, and you can't see because of the dry ice smoke or whatever.
Dry ice.
I always imagined they fell into some sort of Fortress of Solitude, holding cells or something like that.
I thought they died as a kid. I thought, he's just they're falling to their deaths. But no,
because I had that big prestige format Fortress of Solitude comic, I knew all the stuff that he had in the Fortress of Solitude. So I was like, yeah, it's probably like a prison cell or something like that they all fall into. But then in the television cut, in the television edit, kind of like just before the credits roll type of scene, He's turning the Phantom Zone villains over to some sort of Arctic police who, because he has taken their powers away, the same way his powers have been taken away earlier, they're now depowered, and so they're being taken away by the, in quotes, Arctic police. Either way, he didn't kill them, and it was never intended, especially since they filmed that scene. It was just bad editing that might make you think maybe they died.
I remember there was a great scene in this movie with the president, played by E.G. Marshall, and first some guy comes out and he says, bow before him. He says, this man is not your leader. No one who leads so many would bow so quickly. And then E.G. Marshall comes out as the president, and he says, I'll bow if it will save lives. And he says, it will, starting with your own. I liked how even the president interrupts the speech on the TV. Superman, where you are? Can you hear us, Superman? Then Zod gets mad, and he's like,
yeah.
But Zod and his teammates fell into an 80s music video, and they've stayed there indefinitely. You know what's a pity? That's kind of a waste they didn't show them getting arrested, because you could have had Zod in a sequel, depowered, but still up to mischief.
Right.
In fact, wouldn't have been funny if they'd stuck him and Luthor in the same cell.
And they could have worked together once again. That would have been
interesting. And maybe the idea is Zod is trying to get his powers back, to figure out how to get his powers back and everything.
Exactly.
Maybe Lex Luthor would get the powers instead, huh? Wouldn't that be interesting? And then Lex Luthor and Superman get to have a fight. Anyway.
Oh, so many what ifs, what could have been.
What can we do? But that was it for Superman 2. There was some merchandise for it. Did you have this lunchbox?
I did not, but I knew somebody who did.
Okay. There's the Superman 2.
Wait, back up. It looked like someone named Jeff Hema?
Did he write his name on the lunchbox?
Yeah.
As kids were wont to do.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Vintage. The Superman 2 board game.
Yeah, I never even saw this.
Yeah, they didn't do much with merchandising for this movie. I thought this was a major release when it came out.
Mego still had the rights on the action figures, so there wasn't much they could do in the 12-inch. In the 8-9-inch line. Mm-hmm. But they were starting to put out the 12-inch action figures. They had already put out the Superman 12-inch figure. They had put out a Jor-El figure, and to coincide with this, they released a Zod 12-inch figure.
Okay. They released an Ursa figure, just out of curiosity? No. Okay, never mind. I'm sure they.
I'm not even remembering if they did a Lois figure or not.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? They never gave you exactly what you wanted, did they? All right, but that's it for Superman 2. Any final thoughts on this? I thought classic movie. We could talk about
that. That was a great one.
I think I went on 2 weeks. Yeah,
those two movies, and I love the various cuts. For what they are, I really did like those Superman movies.
So still a classic. Then we get 3, but maybe that'll be a topic for another time. But we'll see. Yeah. I feel like we have talked about it before. Here we are, Geeky Geezers. Wow, that was a long, good old days. I thought we were going to be 15 minutes at the most.
Well, we had so much fun with it.
I know,
mean,
yes. But now we're not going to. Now we're going to have the exact opposite of fun, because we're talking about everything falling apart.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a happy stream. First, we have an in memoriam.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I am. Yeah, this one. Those of you that are fans of Star Trek: The Next Generation, you will of course remember Nurse Ogawa. She was, you had your main bridge crew, and she was like your very next tier. Whenever they couldn't have Dr. Crusher, it was Nurse Ogawa that was.
I remember seeing her. Yeah. Hold on.
And she was in a lot of the episodes. She was in a lot of them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she is no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, give me one moment. Entertain the chat. Okay, hold on. Let me bring it up. Where are my notes? There we are. Geeky Geezers 811. All right. In Remembrance and... Sorry. Patti Yasutake, am I saying that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Actress on Star Trek: Next Generation and Beef, dies at 70. Patti Yasutake, who portrayed Nurse Alyssa Ogawa on Star Trek: Next Generation and a pair of franchise movies. And Fumanaki, the widow of mother of Joseph Lee's sculpture on Beef, has died. She was 70. Yasutake died Monday at the UCLA Santa Monica Medical Center after a long battle with a rare form of T-cell lymphoma. Her longtime manager, Kyle Fritz, told the Hollywood Reporter, "Patti was my first client when I began over 30 years ago." He said in a statement, "We enjoyed every day we got to work together, and I will miss her spirit, talent, and tenacity, but most of all, her friendship." The Los Angeles native also played a relocated Japanese wife earnestly trying to Americanize in the Ron Howard-directed Gung Ho 1986, and on the ABC series adaptation that lasted just 9 episodes from 1986 to 1987. She received an Independent Spirit Award nomination for her turn in The Wash in 1998, and her big screen resume included Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And with Stallone, and Drop Dead Gorgeous as well. Yasutake played Starfleet Officer Nurse Ogawa on 16 episodes of the syndicated Star Trek The Next Generation from 1990 to 1994. Reprised the role for Star Trek Generations and Star Trek First Contact.
Yes, she did.
Last year, she appeared on 7 episodes of the Netflix sensation Beef as the fierce mother George Nakai and mother-in-law of Ali Wan's Amy Lau. Born September 6, 1953, Yasutaka was raised in Gardena and Englewood. She graduated from UCLA with a degree in theater and then began a career in the theater company East West Players, where she worked with the Oscar-nominated actor Mako, later her co-star in The Wash, for 6 years. I remember him from Conan the Barbarian, remember?
Yeah.
He's also the voice of the sinister Aku on Samurai Jack. As a theater director, Yasutake developed and staged world premieres for East West Players, Dough Ball for the Richard Shepard Theater, The Single Man, and for the ensemble studio Father, I Must Have Rice, and she remounted Tea for the Odyssey Theater. She also directed workshop presentations at the Mark Taper Forum, Arizona Theater Company, Los Angeles Theater Company, and Geffen Playhouse. Survivors include her siblings, Linda and Stephen. Memorial will be held at East West Players. Donations and a memory can be made to the theater company. Sorry to see her go. It looks like she had a varied career.
Yeah, Mark. By the way, this one does come from Geeky Geezer contributor Mark Melnikoff. Thanks for bringing this to my attention. He brings up, yes, she was a key character in the episode Lower Decks. What was interesting with that episode Lower Decks, not to be confused with the cartoon series that's going on right now, it was taking a look at 4 lower-ranking characters that you would consider to be like background characters, right? And they didn't run in the same, social circles as the main bridge crew. So Alyssa Ogawa was very much, she was a friend of Dr. Crusher's, so it wouldn't be unlikely for her to be at a table in 10 Forward with Dr. Crusher and
maybe
Riker,
doing an aerobics class with her or something
or
like
whatever.
that. Yeah.
But then at the same time hanging out with them as well. So she almost acted like a social liaison between the two in that episode Lower Decks. Very, very good story. I think that was probably one of the episodes that focused the most on Dr. Ogawa. But again, when you have a background supporting character who has like a full name, that she had become more than just a background character. She was, definitely a supporting and fan favorite character.
Yeah, a major part of the crew. Yeah. Star Generation 2, she was a doctor. Yeah. So
and she had eventually become a doctor.
Sorry she passed away. It sounds like her career was having another turn on this show Beef on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that, but
must have been recent. But I hope they give her the honor on that show that she deserves. And sorry to see her go. Cancer sucks.
Yep. It really does.
Disney.
Yeah, so this is kind of, we got a 2-parter here. This is like a double whammy with Disney. We'll get into this.
Disney raises streaming prices for Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus. Disney is raising pricing on its streaming platforms. I feel like they're always raising the prices on their stream. Starting mid-October, most plans for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN will cost $1 to $2 more per month, according to a press release Tuesday. The most expensive plans for Hulu, which include live TV, will cost $6 more per month. Disney Plus, Basic, and Premium will be priced at $9.99 and $15.99 respectively. Hulu with ads will cost $9.99 monthly, while Hulu without ads will cost $18.99 per month. ESPN Plus, which features ads, will cost $11.99 per month. Oh, so you don't get an ad-free option. But I guess if it's sports games, they have to leave those in anyway because they might be playing on regular TV.
Apparently
maybe?
so.
I don't know. The price hikes come as Disney continues to push its customers toward bundles to get a bigger bang for their buck. For some time, Disney has offered a bundle of its own services, either Hulu and Disney Plus or the 2 streaming services plus ESPN Plus. The existing bundle of Disney Plus and Hulu with ads will also get a price hike this fall, up $1 to $10.99 per month. The same bundle without ads won't see any price increase for the current rate of $19.99 a month. Disney has also partnered with Warner Brothers Discovery to offer a bundle, which will include Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. I have a suspicion that bundle will disappear at some point.
Well, although we don't get too into it, apparently the whole Hulu deal is still not quite as kicked in as it was supposed to be. They still owe a crap ton billions of dollars that they're trying to figure out where the hell they're going to get that money from. I guess that's why they're raising prices.
Disney also aims to entice subscribers with ABC News Live.
Oh yeah, people are rushing for ABC News.
And a playlist featuring preschool content, as long as it's safe, wholesome content, Disney.
Yeah, Disney's incapable of that, so forget that.
Available to all subscribers starting September 4th, according to a release Tuesday. The company plans to introduce 4 more curated playlists for premium subscribers. Playlists are the latest example of how we're providing the best value and experience for our subscribers every time they open up Disney Plus. Look at that. You get playlists, dude. You excited?
No.
All right, well, he's just a negative Nile.
I'm just an istophobe. I've already come to accept that.
Is there anything worth watching on Disney Plus? I don't know. They showed a trailer for that Skeleton Crew show, huh? We'll talk about that more next week, maybe.
Yeah.
WDW Pro commentary on the topic. You can go check out his channel. In fact, I do use sometimes Park Place articles on this channel as well. But you can hear him give the scuttlebutt on everything, right?
Yeah, the reason we go to them is because they have great insights. Not only do they have great sources, but they have great insights. And they know more about the industry than we do. So,
FUCK Disney. Disney plans to launch Plus launched in 2019. In 5 years, they have raised their prices 4 times.
Yes, that's an excellent commentary. You're absolutely right there, my friend.
Do you get 4 times the content?
Absolutely not.
I'm sure the Star Trek movies are around there now, though. That's a joke, because the Star Trek movies are on everywhere but Paramount Plus. I'm sorry, that's a joke. Okay, never mind.
It's kind of true.
Disney Q3 earnings call coverage live. So this is a live call that we're dealing with here. These are like bullet points from that parkplace.com.
Yes, it is. And this is why I said these 2 articles were necessary in that order. This is why it's a 1-2 punch. They raise their prices on their streaming service, introduce this bundling thing, and here's our earnings call. Maybe we can point out that we raised our prices. See, so that means we're going to be making more money, regardless of how bad our past quarter looks.
Bags of money. The Walt Disney Company's third fiscal quarter earnings call is live today. We'll have a live updates as well as coverage via Valiant Renegade on YouTube. Live updates, 8:34 a.m. Disney begins with questions first. Major change in the TWDC format. 8:35, Iger asked about theme park lower demand projected for quarters into the future. 8:37, Disney projects flat demand for global Disney parks and experiences and claims entertainment will offset Disney's biggest revenue profit driver. 8:38 p.m. TWDC the Walt Disney Company hopes for greater advertising potential on ESPN to compensate for huge NBA deal. Acknowledges it will not be profitable in first years. 8:40, Iger claims streaming success is being driven by creativity, uses industry awards as example. 8:41, Iger confirms channels coming for Disney Plus may be first time referencing plural channels beyond the ABC News already declared officially by the company. So I guess if you go on Hulu, you can just click on your ABC News channel.
Right.
8:43 a.m. Bob Iger says that the company is bullish on global streaming value, inserts box office to justify investment in streaming. 8:46 CEO Bob Iger continues to refer to industry awards in an industry that often is heavily influenced by Disney, avoids financial defense of entertainment. 8:47 a.m. Disney CFO Johnson claims password sharing crackdowns will drive growth of Disney Plus and streaming toward double-digit margins. Don't you dare share your password with your
right. If you want it, you got to pay for
your Aunt Gertrude. Don't do it. 8:48 a.m. Bob Iger does not announce any new strategic partners for ESPN. 8:50. Disney refuses to discuss attendance at Disney parks, claims lower-income guests feel stress and high-income guests are choosing to travel internationally instead. What does that mean?
They're equivocating why the parks aren't making money. So
if they're taking a trip to Italy instead of going to Disney because I don't know what are they talking about?
People are traveling, so they can't come to Florida. Oh, they've gone to France for the Olympics, but they're not going to Disney France. You know.
Yes.
So they're talking out of both sides of their face. And no, Rosefire, you're right. The $1.5 billion they made for Inside Out 2, that wasn't $1.5 billion that they made. You also have to take into account how much money it cost to market and make that film. So they made less than 1.5. And when you consider how much they have lost on so many other films, by spending 3, 4, 5 times as much as it needed to be because they were making it up as they went and doing reshoots and re-edits because they were getting bad reviews. When you consider that the $4.8 billion they spent for Lucasfilm has not made that money back yet. No. They have not broken even for what they put into Lucasfilm, counting all of the losses they've taken on Dial of Dysentery and Willow that they had to scrap as a tax write-off. And the only movie I think that made Star Wars any money was The Force Awakens and maybe Rogue One. All the others lost money. So anything they would have made from those two, they've lost on the others. And keep in mind, we've just been talking about streaming. Streaming has never made money. It is a money loser. Yes. It's like investing in change machines and wondering why you keep breaking even and you can't make back the money you invested in those change machines. They don't understand what the streaming model is.
It'd be one thing if they were making series to sell to other companies, like other streaming services like Netflix, but they're just having it on.
Licensing dollars. Imagine that.
Don't forget the crap ton of money they made from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Physical media. Oh, imagine that. And Disney isn't making money from either of those things.
I had no doubt Bob Iger was talking up the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. I suspect that was probably happening. 8:51 p.m. CFO Johnson does not say domestic park attendance will rebound. Claims international may be because of the Olympics. No explanation of how the Olympics hurts attendance. Has this happened
exactly
before? Was attendance down during the Tokyo Olympics? Were people still going to Tokyo Disneyland during the Tokyo?
That's a great point. In fact, let's face it. If I was in town for the Olympics, I might take a day to visit Disney.
Disneyland. 8:53 a.m. Disney says ad revenues increased 8%. Ads on the Disney Channel increased by 20%. Consumer products and services tech doing well according to CFO. 8:55 a.m. Disney reiterates they will not license core IP for entertainment. I don't know what that means. They're not going to give it to somebody else to use?
I don't know.
8:58 a.m. Disney provides no flavor statement regarding the release for the day. Completely avoids normal structures of the Walt Disney Company earnings call. That's it. So that's like 10 minutes worth of stuff. So
yeah.
Disney parks. So the thoughts: Disney parks and experiences have historically been one of the significant revenue streams of the company. For instance, the fiscal year 2022, the segment generated approximately $28.7 billion in revenue, accounting for about 35% of Disney's total revenue. Yes, I've heard it said that Disney is primarily a theme park company, and everything else is extra, right? I don't know if that's true. I've heard some people say that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what's interesting is that after the opening bell, on Friday, the stock for Disney plummeted from $86 to $85, and it stayed low pretty much all day. And by the closing bell, it had gotten to just back over 86, and I'm wondering if some buying didn't start happening in the close. I think we need to start watching the next quarter and see what the buying and selling is on Disney.
I want to know who's buying,
because it could get very interesting. All eyes were on Pelts, last year, and who knows what could happen in the next year. Disney is very vulnerable. Let's put it that way. They are vulnerable to continuing to lose stock, and they are vulnerable to being bought out by people that realize the value that Disney's intellectual properties own, not Disney itself. So we'll see.
So I think the major thing hurting them, from what I heard, is the theme park decline, right?
It's everything. Their movies are down. Their parks are down.
Successes.
Pardon me?
Like, they did have some successes. Deadpool Wolverine was a success.
Right. Very much a success that they didn't choose. That was thrust upon them. And what was the other one? Inside Out, I guess, did pretty well. Yeah. It actually made a profit.
No, people did seem to enjoy it, I guess. But final update: as a result, Disney stock opened more than 3% down within 10 minutes of U.S. markets opening.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going on. Logging off now. Wishing everyone a pleasant night and good week ahead. Yeah, good night to you.
Take care, Rosefire.
Good night also to a Horizon Talker. I believe you left.
Yep.
However, wait a minute. What's this from Geek Flag? I don't know if this has been. Goldman Sachs has devalued Lucasfilm. It is worthless now, and that's when the original overpaid for it. That's all thanks to Kathleen Kennedy. Well, I don't know what Lucas is putting out. All Lucas, I have to tell you something. Pixar, Marvel, all these other companies, they have other IP.
Right.
Lucas, it's all just Star Wars. I would argue
Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, all devalued by Kathleen Kennedy.
They basically. Yeah,
and when I say devalued, I mean completely devalued. They are worthless now.
And whatever was owned by Lucasfilm Games, which they might be able to do something with, but they probably don't even realize they own half this stuff.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Do something with Maniac Mansion, maybe.
Right, because there is no EU, there is no books and games and stuff that they can draw on.
Anyway, but frankly. While everyone else was focusing on Disney this week, I'm looking aghast at another company, which
I know.
I don't know if Disney can right the ship. I know that they seem to be trying to do something with Marvel. We'll see if it works. Well, you probably don't think it will, but Warner Brothers is just I think we made a point that, what was it? Paramount had almost $2 billion in debt, and they were trying to get sold off to the neck. That's a horrible amount of money to be in debt to. And then I found out Warner Brothers has twice as much debt.
Yeah.
And no one to buy them. Warner Brothers Discovery signals rapid deterioration of television business, sending stock plummeting. David Zaslav had a particularly tough day. The Warner Brothers Discovery boss watched Wednesday afternoon as his company, already anemic stock price, plummeted more than 10% in after-hours trading, hitting a dangerous new low of $6.90 after the company reported second quarter earnings. The sell-off occurred after Warner Brothers Discovery posted a $9.1 billion write-down on its troubled network assets. It's a reflection of how quickly the traditional television business is deteriorating and imperiling companies such as Warner Brothers Discovery, which rely on linear channels for the bulk of the revenue. Warner Brothers Discovery owns some of the most recognizable cable channels, including CNN, Home and Garden Television, Turner Network Television, Turner Broadcasting Station, right? The TBS.
Yep.
All of which have seen worrisome audience decays as cord-cutting slices overall viewership and household reach. For Warner Brothers Discovery, the rapid decline of the legacy business has been compounded in recent weeks by its very public breakup turned legal battle with the NBA, its partner for 4 decades, after the media giant attempted to use its matching rights to snag Amazon's newly acquired $1.8 billion per year package of games. The one bright spot in the legacy television business has been live sports programming, which continues to draw high viewership even as cable cancellations mount. Warner Brothers Discovery, which is now suing the NBA over its divorce, acknowledged on Wednesday that the potential loss of games starting with the 2025 to 2026 season will have a financial impact on the company. The goodwill impairment was triggered in response to the difference between market capitalization and book value, continued softness in the United States linear advertising market, and uncertainty related to affiliate and sports rights renewals, including the NBA, Warner Brothers Discovery said in its financial summary. To be fair, Warner Brothers Discovery is not the only once high-flying legacy media behemoth struggling to find its footing in a shifting Netflix upended by the Netflix revolution. Paramount Global, a one-time titan, has stumbled and found enormous difficulty reorientating its business around streaming. The Sherry Redstone-led company, which struck a merger deal last month with David Ellison's Skydance, has lost 27% of its value this year. Speaking candidly to investors on the company's earnings call Wednesday, Zaslav acknowledged the dire reality of the television business. It's fair to say that even 2 years ago, market valuations and prevailing conditions for legacy media companies were quite different than they are today, Zaslav said. As this impairment acknowledged this, Zaslav did talk up other parts of Warner Brothers Discovery business, describing the company's Max streaming platform as doing very, very well with tremendous upside. But even as he offered the warm sentiment, Zaslav conceded the cold reality of tough conditions in the legacy business. The hole Warner Brothers Discovery now finds itself in has led to enormous chatter that the company will be forced to sell off some of its assets. During Wednesday's earnings call, Chief Financial Officer Gunnar Wiedenfels said management is very well aware of its responsibility to have a view on whatever strategic options are out there. We're very clearly focused on evaluating beyond just running the operational business, Wiedenfels said. So we've said before, you shouldn't be surprised to see us engaging in whatever M&A process are going on out there. You shouldn't be surprised to see us engaging in partnership discussions. That said, Warner Brothers Discovery has shown a reluctance to sell off any of its major assets, and whether it can get out of the corner it finds itself in without taking such a step may prove difficult. Wow. This has been a mouthful. What is Warner Brothers' major problem right now? I think they have a lot invested in traditional cable television stations,
which is dying.
Everyone is cutting the cord.
Yep.
I think they're losing out to the NBA because Amazon is swooping in. They're going to try to fight them in court. I think the main counter argument for that is that this matching thing that we allowed you to do that wasn't for deals that included streaming. That's what they're going to say. When this rule in the contracts make up, streaming wasn't a thing yet.
I would say that's true. I would also say that the current reality of streaming, as I pointed out before, is not a net win unless you're, partnering up through license and doing something else. That is. It's gravy at best. It is not your main course. You create content to put on streaming, and you're not going to make anything extra on it. You're better off with stuff that you've made for another revenue stream, and then you move it to streaming later to get residuals, so to speak.
Yeah.
It is not meant to be your bread and butter. It's meant to be, at best your butter.
Warner Brothers, in my opinion, they were doing all sorts of weird stuff when streaming was going on. Remember they had an entire DC network?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
I said that is not a smart thing to divide up your IPs. You should bundle it all together in one place.
Yeah.
Not make it a la carte.
Mother of all creatures, big and small. That stock is playing limbo. How low can you go? It doesn't look good from where I'm sitting. I'm rather horrified by what I'm seeing about Warner Brothers. Culture Casino also reported that the Manhattan real estate market has tanked. I wonder why. A building that had previously sold for well over $100 million sold for $3 million recently. Yeah. Well, You can watch Cash Jordan's videos on the state of New York right now if you want to find out why maybe people don't want to own property over there right now. Can you run a business when it's going to get robbed and no one's going to do anything about it? Exactly. And does anybody want to live in a city where all this crime is occurring? I don't think they do. This is ridiculous. Those are just my thoughts. My thoughts is I don't know how Warner Brothers Discovery just digs himself out of this hole. What do you think? Do you think they need to sell some stuff? Like, what would they sell? The rights to Harry Potter to somebody else? Would that give them some money?
At this point,
they don't have Harry Potter anymore.
For them, selling anything they would be cutting off their nose to spite their face. If they sell stuff off, they lose their potential revenue from those. So I think they need to really start thinking about restructuring. They really need to look at maximizing the revenue streams, like I said, and maybe rethink their paradigms. Like you said, things as simple as you have so much invested in cable, but cable is dying. Get the hell out of cable, you know? Yeah. Start finding other ways. If you have stuff, especially your movies, make sure you're promoting those DVD sales. Get those DVD sales happening. And then
please. They are horrible with their physical media. We've already talked about this. We did a stream with
Retroblasting,
Retroblasting, and also I think Fanzine Vids was on with us.
Right.
We talked about the entire disastrous how you I'm going to say incompetence. I wanted to say asshole, but anyway,
right.
Incompetence. You ended up releasing a bunch of bum DVDs. Many of us are collectors of DVDs.
Right.
I think that we're buying a lot of these classic movies because we wanted to have a library of classic, from the golden age of Hollywood movies, and now they're all decaying on us. And are these even available to repurchase on Blu-ray now? Some of them aren't. It's ridiculous. But do they care? It's like, holy cow, that could be what they could sell. I hate to say it. Whoever would, unless nobody wants to buy it, would be the back catalog of their classic titles. Could they sell that to somebody?
That would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare. And again, it would be another lost revenue stream.
Oh, they would sell to Amazon. I don't think I want Amazon owning that, but the Amazon ended up getting MGM, so I could see them getting the Warner Brothers classic catalog. Like they would cut it off at a year. Oh, this is horrible. I don't like these companies owning these classic libraries. We saw what happened with Disney and the French Connection when they bought 20th Century Fox. They got to do better. And frankly, I keep talking about the Superman movie coming out, but I don't know how much relies on that. I heard, I was watching videos too on the Tomorrowverse of animated films that was started by that Superman Man of Tomorrow movie we watched on Matchstick Channel. And we did a coverage of that. Man of Tomorrow. Remember that one? It was the animated one where Clark's just starting out. That was supposed to be the start of a new DC animated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I know.
All the other movies. It's kind of like how Marvel has the MCU, and they do these. They did one that was based on the New 52. They finally ended that, thank goodness. And then they did one based on I guess this Tomorrowverse is what people called it. But they ended up having to rush things on it and having to do a reset. Because I think now everything has to be in the James Gunn verse. If it's animated, if it's live action, it all has to take place in this new Gunn verse coming out.
Yeah,
you can't have a separate animated thing, which kind of bothers me as someone who liked the old school Batman cartoons. How I felt they were complements to the movies, but they weren't taking place in the same, I don't want to say universe, like fictional universe. Okay. Anyway, I think Warner Brothers is the one in the worst shape right now, but that's just me. What do you think?
I think that everyone needs to also realize that and we're about to get into Paramount here too, that none of these, we are focusing in on the individual companies and the mistakes they have made that have led to the financial problems they're having. But we also have to keep in mind that none of this stuff exists in a vacuum. The financial situation created by the pandemic of 2019-2020 was ultimately going to play itself out. We all knew it was going to, and we are seeing a major, major recession as a result of it. That's been more than a long time coming. The overall Dow Jones Industrial Average, just everything on Wall Street's looking pretty bad right now. I think everybody who doesn't even pay attention to Wall Street, because, when you don't have a lot of money, you may not pay attention to investments too much, but you know what's in your own pocketbook, you know what you're taking home every week, you know what the cost of milk and bread is.
The groceries are insane right now.
When you have to start deciding between your mortgage or your rent, your food, and your prescription drugs,
your heating bill,
you might not be too concerned about renewing that Disney Plus subscription that just went up.
Yeah. So here we have Paramount Global cutting 15% of its U.S. workforce, or about 2,000 jobs, part of a broader cross-cutting gain as it prepares for a merger with Skydance Media.
Well, you know how I feel about Paramount, so...
Yeah, well, Paramount... See, I understood at least Warner Brothers with the Max, because I basically said, okay, well, this is basically HBO. And HBO was always a big leader in premium cable television, so it would make sense that they would have a spot with streaming, right?
Yeah.
And then you had Paramount, which they weren't even combined with Showtime yet with their service. They finally merged Showtime into the Paramount Plus. It took them forever. Their biggest television show, Yellowstone, they couldn't actually get on Paramount Plus because it had streaming rights to somebody else. So as a result, they ended up creating original Taylor Sheridan series in the Yellowstone universe. They also did Tulsa King, that's another Taylor Sheridan show, and they've been well received. But I just thought it was funny how their big hit they don't even have the rights to.
Right.
Paramount Global is cutting. Okay, so Paramount has identified 500 million cost savings, which will be the headcount reductions as part of $2 billion in synergies. There's that word again, related to its transaction with Skydance. The job cuts will begin in the coming weeks and largely conclude by the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of pain felt at this company. Paramount agreed to merge with Skydance Media last month. That deal includes a 45-day go-shop period in which a special committee of Paramount's board could find another buyer. That concludes later this month. You're not going to find another buyer. I think they should be thankful they have a buyer, which is more than I can say for Warner Brothers right now.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. Of course, they may not want anything to do with that if the guys that got out of Disney start buying up Warner Brothers stock, but maybe they don't want to go there. So here's how Paramount's performed the last quarter compared to what Wall Street was expecting based on the survey analysis of LSEG. Earnings per share 54 cents adjusted versus 12 cents expected. Revenue 6.81 billion versus 7.21 billion expected. Revenue fall second quarter. Revenue dropped 11% and missed analyst estimates as licensing, TV advertising, and cable subscription sales dropped. Everyone's getting out of cable.
Yep.
Paramount Plus revenue grew 46% on year-over-year subscriber growth and higher prices. Paramount Plus customers decreased 2.8 million in the last quarter. I was one of them. To 6 to 8 million as the company unwound a Korean partnership deal with entertainment company CJNM's TVing streaming platform. Will we get some nice Korean dramas on Paramount Plus? That may make me want to look into it again.
I'll tell you what, Netter and I have been watching a lot of those.
I did like Dr. Brain. Paramount reaffirmed it's on track to reach U.S. profitability for Paramount Plus in 2025. The streaming service has raised prices and cut content spend. How is that going to increase the profitability?
It's not. Again, you there is a very limited audience that you're going to pull in on a subscription service. So throwing more content is only going to draw you 1, 2, 3% max growth. You need other revenue. This is why I say this isn't the meat and potatoes. This is the gravy. That's what streaming is.
Tulsa King returns in September. It's been 5 years since the Mouse bought Fox, and we still don't have any movement on Fox titles. I don't know if you mean like as far as getting re-releases on DVD or them just doing stuff with the property they own. I'm going to tell you, if you like old 20th Century Fox movies and they're still available, buy the ones you want now because they could end up getting buried.
You're absolutely right.
own physical media, as it said. But yeah, the company had to take charge as an adjustment forced its transaction with Skydance. Yeah, but Paramount also took $6 billion one-time impairment charge associated with its decline in its cable network. Comes on the heels of a $9.1 billion write-down from peer Warner Brothers Discovery on Wednesday. So, out of these three companies, I'm sorry, I think Disney might be in the best shape, even though we like to rag on them a lot. I guess Universal.
It helps to be. It helps when you're falling from such a high place.
Yes.
It takes a lot longer to fall.
Okay, I think Warner Brothers is starting to get fast to the pavement soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if this Harry Potter series they're working on or if the Superman movie can save them. I don't know if that's even enough at this point.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just a ho-hum commentator on YouTube. But here we go. Let's move on to... So
let's get into games.
I thought the Star Trek nerds would all go to Paramount Plus, right? That's probably what they were banking on.
Well, first, that's assuming that they're even carrying Star Trek on Paramount Plus. That's a whole other ball of wax. But be that as it may, nobody's interested in the new modern Star Trek. Nobody's watching Star Trek Discovery. Nobody's watching the Klingon musical Strange New Worlds. Did you see that whole thing with the whole Vulcan augmentation?
No, not doing it.
Oh God! It was frigging racist, is what it was.
Yes.
It was just it. The fans have all already walked away.
Look at those goofy Vulcans. They have no emotions. They're all logical. That's not how it works. It's actually
so now you have literally distilled down a racial group to their stereotypes. I changed your genes to make you Vulcan, and suddenly you're logical and intelligent. Can you imagine if someone had done that? You need to, put on yellow face and infiltrate an Asian cartel. We're going to not do that because that would be politically incorrect. What we're going to do is we're going to change your genetic structure to make you Asian. And now suddenly I'm good at math.
So ridiculous.
That's racist, you dumbasses.
What I thought was truly terrible. If you watch Star Trek, even if you watch old school Star Trek, like original series, you realize, the Klingons, they're the bad guys. Then you have episodes where, like, I think it was Day of the Dove, when you realize the Klingons are more nuanced than we gave them credit for. They have their own thoughts on the Federation and why they're bad.
Right.
It's like that.
Well,
it's not just so black and white. Yes.
I was watching a commentary about the existence of and this is something else they're trying to make into a thing. Section 51, 31, whatever it is. The spook agency for the Federation, right? And why is it important, right? Because the Federation has their prime directive and their morality and all this, but guess what? Other races might not. So you still have to fight those battles, right? If the Klingons are arming and some like Day of the Dove, right? They're arming the locals with flintlocks and stuff because they want an advantage on the dilithium rights there. Federation has to do something, right? They don't want to. Day of the Dove was an example of what you don't do. You can't match them point for point. Well, we'll give you guns too. Oh, well, then we're going to give you disruptors. Well, then we'll give you phasers. Okay, we'll give you nukes. Okay, we'll give you nukes too. No, that's dumb. That is exactly why you don't break the prime directive. But those kind of nuanced stories are good. But when they start using those nuanced stories as, child's fan fiction, it doesn't work, surprisingly, right?
If I were creating a new enemy race for Star Trek, what I thought might have been interesting is maybe an alien race that got introduced to technology before they were ready for it.
Yeah.
So they have the advanced technology of warp drives and all these other things, but they were not mentally prepared. You know what I mean? Because you have to have gotten to a certain point in your civilization before you can get these things, according to Star Trek, right? Otherwise, it could have disastrous results.
Exactly.
I guess Paclids were sort of like that too. Remember them on TNG?
Yeah, that was one that was just an example of bad writing.
I kind of like that, though. I like Riker. Riker was getting annoyed when he was talking to them.
And it's also good for a laugh. They were used in the Star Trek Klingon interactive game, right. and what's his name? Gowron is dealing with the Klingons. And he's talking to them like they talk to him, and he's kind of using their dumbness against them, and then he looks into the camera like, these guys are idiots, But for as funny as that is, if you want to start getting nuanced with them, you got to, and I have seen some other Pac-Led stories where they use the Pac-Leds like they're not as dumb as you think they are. No. They come off as dumb because there's linguistic issues and stuff. The way they talk, the way they think, the way they present themselves seems very simple to other races, but they're very devious.
Yes.
And dangerous. And they're more intelligent than... It's almost like, I want to go pet the pretty, sweet-looking bear, and then the bear turns around and rips your face off,
Yeah, there's an anime out there called Goblin Slayer. And the point of the anime Goblin Slayer is that adventurers in this fantasy, no one takes goblins seriously.
Right.
They're just these grunt things. And except the Goblin Slayer, who always goes after the goblins and tries realizing that goblins are actually some of the most dangerous creatures. An individual goblin, not dangerous. A horde of goblins, especially, they can be they can destroy whole cities. Like he's taking a threat that nobody else is treating seriously, which is kind of the premise for that show. But of course now goblins are just people like you and I in D&D.
Oh yeah, they're not inherently evil now, because that would be wrong. That would be racist again, right?
I was trying to find some D&D stories because I heard online somewhere that they're trying to they really are pushing the D&D online thing with charging tiers and stuff, and just
that is not going over well at all with the fans. It's really not.
Speaking of things not going over well, Ubisoft buttered up YouTubers and influencer with trips to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And boat tours to promote Star Wars Outlaws. So this is
when we call them shills, this is what we're talking about.
So it was interesting because Star Wars Theory said, Ubisoft didn't offer you a thing, and he said, actually they did. He did a whole video on that, but he said no. He says, I'm lucky I'll give an honest review if they're doing this. A new investigation of Ubisoft's marketing campaign for Star Wars Outlaws reveals the company buttered up YouTubers and influencers with trips to Disneyland and boat tours before giving them access to 4 hours of gameplay footage. German YouTuber Cyberpunk 20XX discovered multiple YouTubers and influencers who revealed how they were actually influenced by Ubisoft as part of the company's largest marketing campaign ever. First, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot revealed that the company was rolling out its largest marketing campaign ever for Star Wars Outlaws during a recent earnings report. Barclays' Nick Dempsey asked, when I look at the guidance for quarter two, and if I assume something similar for back catalog in quarter two, and quarter one is kind of getting, 200 to 230 million, is that euro, that sort of range?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go. So let me go back to the main meat of this, though. Basically, he's been... okay, excuse me. Sorry, I'm losing my spot here. Part of the biggest marketing campaign ever was flying out YouTubers and influencers to Los Angeles to give them 4 hours with the game. Cyberpunk 20XX revealed that one of his fellow German YouTubers, Kartoffelkönig, confirmed that the claim that it was the biggest marketing campaign ever. As translated by YouTube, Kartoffelkönig stated, we are with the largest marketing campaign ever for Ubisoft game, and I can definitely confirm the last part is I was invited to Ubisoft to come to Los Angeles and play in the Star Wars Outlaws event. The location was really polished up, and there was a day in Disneyland, and something like that. Koenig continued, so Ubisoft spent a lot on that. Next, Cyberpunk 20XX shared footage from British influencer YouTuber Louise Julie, who revealed she was brought to Los Angeles by Ubisoft early and was taken on a boat tour that she claims was originally a whale tour to see if we could spot any whales. That's rather fancy, don't you think?
Yeah.
There was caviar maybe on there too. She added, so basically they invited a bunch of UK creators who got there early because...
Is that ironic to be viewing sea life and then eating fish eggs? I don't know.
Well, I'm just making a joke. Anyway, it was like a 12-hour journey. Cyberpunk 2X6 confirmed that Ubisoft was indeed paying for these international and domestic flights for YouTubers and influencers. He cited a post from Chewy which states, Ubisoft and Star Wars flew me out to California to play Star Wars Outlaws, interview the game director and lead writer, meet the cast. I am beyond grateful for this opportunity. VIP tour of Disneyland tomorrow. So they really are going after the influencers to basically try and get them to hype up this game. Ubisoft has a lot riding on this game. Remember, this is a cost. They had to pay to use the Star Wars license for this game.
Right. Unlike
Assassin's Creed, which they own, which is getting into hot water for other reasons right now.
Exactly.
But not mentioned in Cyberpunk 20X, the Star Wars headquarters revealed they made lightsabers during the Disney VIP experience. Those lightsabers are expensive.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So I think they're spending a ton of money trying to get all of these creators on YouTube, because let's face facts, people aren't going to the gaming sites anymore. Where are they going to figure out if a Star Wars game is worth playing? They're going to go to YouTube. They may go to these creators, may be playing this, on their channels or on other gaming stream platforms. PSA: I was not paid by Ubisoft or anyone else to make this video. I was given the opportunity to record content. However, it was fully my own choice to make and share content based on it. The only money I make from this content is from YouTube views. There is no shilling or hidden agendas involved. See?
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think? I've heard people talking about this game that some of the demos I've seen are not looking good. Like, I think there was a speeder demo that was rather dull. It's like a lot of bland areas, but I don't know. It added, sorry, you don't have to pre-order the game. Of course, you can buy whatever you like with your money. I also enjoyed the version I was shown. The process behind it was for the ass, and I'm sorry that we didn't print more against it, but let ourselves be beaten wide open. Because that's a loss of translation right there.
I think so, too, yeah.
Okay, so what do we think, though? Ubisoft, Star Wars Outlaws, do you think it's going to be a good game? Do you think it'll be a hit, even if it's not a good game, because of this?
When it comes to games, I'm the wrong one to ask, but everything I've seen about Star Wars Outlaws tells me it's not going to be any good.
I do know that they had a beautiful Venezuelan model that they based this character off of, and the character looks nothing like the beautiful Venezuelan model they used.
I know, that's the irony, right?
Ubisoft is going to lose billions of dollars on Star Wars Outlaws, and with the disaster that is going to be a new Assassin's Creed, this video game studio just may be shutting the doors at the end of the year. I've always argued that Ubisoft, especially in the last 10 years, is a AA studio that likes to think it's a AAA studio. It is not. And
true.
I don't know. Is anybody hyped for this game?
I am not. I can tell you that.
Well, all right. Let's move on. Let's move on to Nintendo. I do happen to like Nintendo. I'm not a Nintendo shill, because trust me, if you've known me throughout my life, there have been plenty of times in my life where I've had a love-hate relationship with Nintendo, particularly the hate relationship during the Wii era. I know you liked the Wii, didn't you?
It's not like I went out and bought it. I happened to play it at work, but...
Isn't it great? Now Grandma can play the game. And I'm like, yeah, it's great for Grandma. Can you make something for me? Yeah,
right?
It was a good system known if you were a Mario fan, because you got the 2 Mario Galaxy games. Those were very good, but I don't know. Nintendo share prices tanked more than 50% on Monday morning amid global fears of a United States recession and rising tensions in the Middle East. You don't say. As highlighted by Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of industry consultancy Kantan Games, almost every major Japanese game company saw a drop in share prices. Japan's Nikkei fell more than 12%, its biggest drop in the so-called Black Monday crash of 1987. At the time of this writing, Nintendo's share price sits at 6,607 JPY, a sharp drop from the 7,950 JPY it was enjoying last Friday. Capcom, meanwhile, saw a drop more than 16% and is currently valued at 2.36 GPY. I guess that's Japanese yen, right? Well, Sega dropped just over 13% to land. Okay, so these companies, I guess, are getting hit. But they've released some good stuff in over the years, too. So it's not like it's a lack of quality. But when pressed for the reasoning behind the drop, Toto simply said, rich people operate off fives mostly, so sometimes it's not much reason. However, it seems global investors are in full-blown panic mode after U.S. posted weak jobs data that has prompted fears. I thought everyone's hiring.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's like I'm getting different stories from the media. I wouldn't say the media lies to us, though. As pointed in the Guardian, U.S. recession would hurt economics around the world. In London, the FTSE 100 index opened at around 2.3% lower on Monday evening, while Euronext 100 opened at around 3.5 lower. Meanwhile, stock markets in Taiwan, South Korea, India, Australia, and Hong Kong all suffered similar losses. How's the economy doing?
Yeah, it's not so great.
Well, it will be great or not so great depending on who's in the White House, depending on the media. I can guarantee you, if certain someone gets elected again,
I would argue that
it's a depression and it's all his fault. That's what's going to happen.
It is going to be bad no matter who wins this election.
Oh, I know.
I'm just saying
but will the media be honest about it? That's what.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I'm sorry. My read is always, you know, how the economy is doing because you know what's in your pocket and you know what you were able to buy with that money today as opposed to last year, as opposed to 4 years ago.
Yeah. It looks like everybody's in the shitter. Well, here's the thing with Nintendo. I know, too, they need to release a new console. But I think they're worried about when to release it now, because if nobody has any money, they're not going to buy it.
True.
Or if they're worried about things. In fact, even the adoption rate for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, I mean, I think the PS5 is finally doing better than the PS4. But it's... Those were rough launches because they happened right in the middle of the pandemic when the Xbox Series and the PS5 came out. And I think Nintendo is looking for the right time to release their new console. Trouble is, if they don't release a new console and they keep it on the Switch and they keep things on the Switch, they're running into piracy problems all the time now.
Yep.
People are now able. They know all the hackers and whatnot or whatever, the people like that. They know the insides and out of the Switch now. They can just release. You can go on Amazon and buy some system with thousands of games on it, including some recently released Switch titles, which one YouTuber I watched was saying, wait a minute, this was just released a month ago. How is this on here? You know, so yeah, not fun. Okay, anything else going on? We have some good news, right? Oh, no, we don't.
Yeah, not really, not this one.
Did you like this one? Law enforcement officials in California said they arrested 14 people and recovered 10 victims during a human trafficking bust at the San Diego Comic-Con.
That one was like, you what?
Hats off to the law enforcement for doing
True.
it. I don't think
True on that, yes.
The convention, which took place 25th to July 28th, is a comic book and culture event that draws 100,000 attendees to San Diego each year. But yes, what is human trafficking doing there? Police say Comic-Con has been used by human traffickers to seek out potential victims. That's scary.
Yeah. Look, I don't care what the event is, but you go to a crowded place and you're all by yourself, things can happen.
The arrests were made after an operation was conducted by California's Human Trafficking Task Force over the course of the convention, according to California Attorney General Rob Bonta. I would think to a convention would be easier than like a theme park, because theme parks still have security. They have cameras.
Yes.
But like maybe a convention is less secure.
Yeah, they're more concerned about making sure that your phaser is piece bonded into your belt and that you can't bring in the wooden botleth. That's what they're concerned about. Oh, make sure you put your mask on. Make sure you got that mask on.
Underneath your mask already.
Right, exactly.
These arrests send a clear message to potential offenders that their criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Police were focused on targeting sex buyers at the convention while recovering potential victims of sex trafficking, as well as arresting traffickers, according to the California Department of Justice. I just imagine there's a shipping panel going on, and they're arresting people. It says, no, this is the shipping panel. The auctioning off panel's in the other room.
Oh, God.
That's a bad joke, isn't it? Okay. I'm just saying from one pervert.
Well, and let's face it, I also know what goes on at these conventions. Like, people staying there, right? So I could understand where miscommunication could also happen in those regards. Just saying.
You mean like if I say, can I pet your triple, and you get arrested and someone's holding a fake triple? That's what he meant. You know? Well,
you go looking for directions to the room where the adult party was happening, and there's a miscommunication about what you mean by that.
I see what you mean. In total, 14 sex buyers were arrested, 9 to 10 adult potential victims of sex trafficking recovered and offered social services, as well as one 16-year-old. Wow.
Yeah.
So I imagine you're an adult, you're going to this convention, maybe you're a female cosplayer, and someone snatches you?
Yep.
Wow.
This is why I say you do not go alone. If you are underage, you definitely do not go alone.
I wonder if Snarky J has a video about this, because I know she attends a lot of these cons.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Great YouTuber, great cosplayer. Check out
Snarky J. Your
sure.
huntress outfit was banging, okay? I think that was a huntress outfit she was wearing, yes.
That my favorite was when she did the Rogue, and she was talking about X-Men and stuff, and she goes, and now for Rogue, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do a walking away. And I'm like, I see what she did there.
Oh, boy. Okay. Anyway, great YouTuber. She actually has good takes, too, on a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. She knows exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah. It is estimated there are 27.6 million victims of human trafficking worldwide at any given time. According to the U.S. Department of State, more than 2,000 people were referred to the U.S. attorneys for human trafficking offenses in 2021, according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. Data shows human traffic arrests have been doubled from 2011 to 2021. Wow. So watch out, you young people out there, especially if you're on the good-looking side, you have to be careful, all right?
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to be that, to be honest with you. It's literally, the younger they are, unfortunately, the more vulnerable they are.
It's disgusting. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. These scumbags are desecrating Comic-Con. They have no shame. Yeah, this is not what Comic-Con is about. She shows up my feed now and again, and I don't get it. Why? I don't know.
Well, probably because, she does the same kind of geeky type news and commentaries that a lot of us do. So, that kind of makes sense. She's pretty, but yeah. She's also sharp. She knows what she's talking about too.
I couldn't really use the picture from the article because it wasn't copied. So I have a plain old lawsuit thing that I'm sure is copyrighted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Rumble joins X to sue advertising cartel that allegedly conspired to withhold digital advertising revenue. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Longboat Key,
This
Florida.
is going to be a big one, guys.
Yeah, Rumble, the video sharing platform and cloud services provider, announced that it has joined social media platform X to file antitrust lawsuits against conspiracy to withhold advertising revenue from Rumble and other digital media platforms. And it's filing to the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Rumble named as defendants the World Federation of Advertisers, as well as the advertising agency WPP and the subsidiary Group M Worldwide. The conspiracy centers around an initiative called the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, created by the WFA, that establishes arbitrary standards for the content on digital platforms where its members may want to advertise. GARM used those one-size-fits-all standards to perpetuate an advertiser boycott against Rumble and other platforms. The suit also notes that GARM has a vast reach since it counts the 6th largest ad agency holding companies among its members, including the defendant WPP. The brand safety standards set by advertisers and their ad agencies should succeed or fail in the marketplace on their own merits and not through the coercive exercise of market power. Rumble's complaints reads, all of this illegal conduct is done at the expense of platforms, content creators, and their users, as well as the agency's own advertiser clients who pay more for ads as a result of their collusion. The unlawful conduct alleged by Rumble is also the subject of an ongoing investigation by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee in Congress. An interim committee staff report issued in July found that the way GARM has operated in this regard is likely illegal under the antitrust laws and threatens fundamental American freedoms. Rumble is seeking a declaration that the defendant's conduct is illegal, a permanent injunction against the continued conduct, damages interest, and legal fees, among other relief. Wow.
Let me tell you. So there is a follow-up to this. GARM, the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, is discontinuing after Elon Musk filed an antitrust lawsuit against it. Yeah, Garm is going away. It's all we already have a victory here, right? And keep in mind, what does that name sound like to you? Global Alliance of Responsible Media. Responsible media. You should support these left-leaning woke companies. You don't want to have anything to do with those alt-right Yahtzee supporting companies.
Yeah, anyone
that's what that was all about.
Anyone that wants freedom of speech and freedom of thought, that's what it is. There are many layers of political.
And this is, of course, the justification that Google would use to throttle certain brands, certain companies, and in a huge way bolster YouTube and suppress the so-called green machine, the company that we're talking about in this article.
Remember when we were to laugh at conspiracy people? It's a ministry of truth, Curtis Selby says.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck to Rumble. We'll be following this lawsuit as it goes forth. And we'll see what skeletons come out of certain closets, I think.
Absolutely.
This ties back in. I almost feel we should have talked about this with the HBO article. This is
the streaming stuff, yeah.
I'm sorry. I have not watched House of the Dragon.
I haven't either. I said I wasn't going to watch it until it ran its course because I've already been burned by these dragons.
Well, Game of Thrones, I watched. This was one of the must-see TV shows of the last decade. It was Breaking Bad. I was on pins and needles, and I have to give Game of Thrones credit for something. They were able to basically give you a season a year. Up until the final season, part 1, and then you had a 2-year interval before you got part 2 of the final season, which was rather annoying. And then people had problems with that part 2 that finally came out. But I figured HBO. I knew they were probably annoyed at how it ended and the fact that they decided, hey, let's do this series based on another one of George R. Martin's books. Let me go and read the article. Most House of the Dragon fans were not very pleased about the extremely anticlimactic Season 2 finale this past weekend, given that it felt like it should be leading into a big battle next week, not 2 years from now. Showrunner Ryan Condal has responded to that feedback and offered some level of an explanation to journalists at a virtual press conference. What it ultimately comes down to, budget and the use of it spread across multiple seasons. One of the challenges of making television at any scale, nobody has infinite time and resources. When you're a showrunner, you're always in the position of having to balance storytelling and the resources that you have to tell the story. Condal says that he wants to give the Battle of the Gullet the time and space that it deserves, though some fans would argue the time would have been the entire 8-episode season. But here you can see the results of what may change when you cut down 10 episodes of Season 1 to 8 in Season 2. No doubt yet another budget-based movie with episode costs estimated at or around $20 million an episode. While Game of Thrones has always been heavy on visual effects, House of the Dragon has a lot of dragons, tons of effects work that it no doubt hugely cost almost each and every episode. I guess there are a lot more dragons on the series.
Mm-hmm.
However, with the Battle of the Gullet launching Season 3 in 2 years, it then stands to reason there will be a lengthy break before more action anywhere close to significant. I do wonder if one of the reasons it was pushed is because it might span 2 weeks instead of 1. While HBO has indeed found success with House of the Dragon, it is not a repeat of the sky-high world-changing Game of Thrones numbers, despite costs being the same or higher, which can be an issue. Not that Game of Thrones did not face its own host of issues with budget, leading to shorter seasons or often skip battles as the story progressed. I used to make a joke on Game of Thrones. Oh, look, another battle happening at night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot easier. That's why I was very impressed with the one season when they had the Battle of the Bastards, because, here we have a battle in the daytime for a change. That was nice.
Right.
Still, it seems that there was a better way to structure this and at least have some climactic turn in the finale, even if it wasn't the full battle. There was not that, and as such, a consistently negative reaction to the final across the board, capping off a season where many fans believed not enough happened from start to finish due to languishing plot lines and characters stuck in certain places. We'll see if that changes for Season 3 in 2 years, 2 whole years. This is your flagship series on HBO Max. or Max at this point.
Yeah.
This needs to be hitting it out of the park each season. And Game of Thrones tended to have heavy-hitting episodes each season where something major happens. It may not always be a battle, but I think like Red Wedding was one season.
Mm-hmm.
I know another season actually came in episode 7 instead of episode 6 instead of 7. It was Hard Home, which was where you got to see a huge fight with the White Walkers and the Wildings, which was only talked about in the books, and you actually got to see it happen on the show. That was a big deal, and you got to see how terrifying the White Walkers actually were. Okay, because it was just kind of funny because you have these. I think Jon Snow and this one Wilding were almost coming to blows, and then the White Walkers attack, and now they're having to fight side by side against this other threat in that episode. But Boomer Troy, do you think dragons exist? I do, and we have the evidence. Except we call them dinosaurs. Ha ha.
There you
It
go.
was funny. There was a Conan story I read once, and they said, "Oh, the evil wizard, he resurrected an ancient dragon," and how you're reading it in the story, it reminds you of a T-Rex. And I think that's what happened in the Conan story. Some sorcery resurrected a T-Rex, and they had to fight the T-Rex or some dinosaur like it or something. But I remember that from a Conan story. But yeah, I don't know though. What do you think of this though?
Yeah, I think this is incredibly. I mean, maybe I'm missing something here,
Yeah.
but I read this as being a bit short-sighted. If you have a winner, you want to make sure you protect that investment. You don't cheap out.
I think someone didn't give them the money they needed, and he
Yep.
didn't. And to be fair, the showrunner probably didn't want to try doing a battle on the cheap. That's probably what happened. That's why they cut the episode order, because it would have been probably episode 9 and maybe even 10 would have been the battle.
And hopefully
It'd be the
this
big
sends a
finale.
message to the company. Yeah, when we say we need a budget, you got to give us the budget,
You are
or
trying to
don't
sell-
even bother.
You're trying to sell subscriptions to Max. You're trying to
Yeah.
sell subscriptions to HBO and regular TV. You do that by having must-see TV. As I've said, I've not watched this series. I think I argued I'm just going to wait. Because Game of Thrones was a bit of an obsession of mine when it was on, because one way to get me involved in your, whether it's science fiction or fantasy, if you involve politics and political sides and political intrigue, that will suck me in. That's what sucked me in with the Gundam anime series. I'm sure there have been others,
but
sci-fi shows that.
But it also has to be done well. It's got to be good writing. The intrigue was compelling in the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones. It started to get ridiculous and stupid towards the end. You didn't even understand why people had different motivations anymore. It was like, this makes no sense for your character anymore.
Jaime Lannister, I thought, was always interesting because I recognized early on, no, Jaime Lannister's a villain, but then they tried.
They gave him some nuance.
They tried doing villain decay on him. This happens a lot, and like he did murder one of his cousins to escape,
right?
You know, which I thought was interesting. So he'll even murder, a distant cousin of his just to get out of it. It didn't work anyway, but all right. Good night, Matanui.
Take care.
And we have one final thing to talk about. I thought this might interest you.
Okay.
CBS. So if you have regular TV, you might still be able to watch this unless you have to subscribe to Paramount Plus. CBS is ramping up its development, handing out its first drama pilot order of the current cycle. It is for a procedural called Einstein, which centers on the fictional great-grandson of Albert Einstein and is based on a German series of the same name. Monk creator Andy Breckman wrote the script and will serve as showrunner, while Randy Zisk, also a Monk alum, is attached to direct and will also be an executive producer. The pilot order for Einstein follows news on 2 comedy projects at CBS. On Mondays, the network also planned a pilot order single-camera comedy called DMV from creator Dana Klein of Friends and 9KL. That's a comedy set in the DMV that might be funny. Think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and opened a development room for a vampire comedy titled Eternally Yours from Ghost showrunners Joe Port and Joe Wiseman. All 3 projects are produced by CBS Studios, are part of CBS's year-round development strategy, which embraces different tracks for different types of shows. All 3, I might give a shot to a vampire comedy show, maybe. It's making fun of Twilight, maybe. Yeah. That might be kind of funny. I don't know. CBS has also already made one series pickup for 2026, Sheriff Country, a spinoff from Fire Country. Okay, hey, let's get to the main thing. As for Einstein, the pilot will follow the famed physicist's great-grandson, who is brilliant but directionless college professor, per the show's logline. When he gets into trouble with the law, he's pressed into helping a police detective solve her most puzzling cases. The show is based on a German series that ran for 3 seasons on that country's Saturday first outlet. CBS has taken a couple of shots at developing an American version of the show in the past, including one with Breckman and Zisk in 2019. A year later, writer Lauren Gussie and executive producer Corin Brinkoff developed a gender-swapped version of the show. NBC also had a take on development in 2018 like the others. It didn't go far, so these are all scrapped. Breckman and Zisk will executive produce Einstein with Tarek Jalil and Rose Hughes, Rodrigo Herrera, Ibar Gingirtoye, and Laura Beats from 7-1 Studios International. I think this sounds interesting.
Yeah.
You were a big Monk fan, right?
I was. We have all of the seasons on DVD.
And imagine a show about Einstein's grandson, who's very intelligent, probably like his grandfather, but maybe he's trying. But then
I hope there's a reference to his father discovering how to put bubbles into beer by splitting the atom.
That would be funny. You remember young Einstein?
I do.
Yahoo, be serious. I remember that.
Yeah.
And that was always the thing, He got into beer. We've all been trying to for decades or centuries how to put bubbles into beer.
Yeah,
that was the big thing. Remember that?
Yeah.
But this might be a winner because it's by the people that made Monk. I like the premise of like a genius, kind of a maverick genius helping the police solve crimes and maybe using science to do it or scientific method. What do you think?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see.
I mean, it's got potential. I could see a number of ways it could go bad, but it's a good starting premise. Yeah, I'm interested.
Especially since Monk is done. I know they did that movie to wrap it up with, I think, but I don't know if you ended up catching that or not. But so that's it, Geeky Geezers. That's it for this week. This was kind of a downer episode, I have to admit. There was not a lot of. We end on the positive note, the Einstein show. That might be good. Maybe they'll put that on opposite NCIS Sydney.
Yeah, which I haven't been watching because
NCIS, but in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, I haven't.
I keep forgetting they always use the same song in all the NCIS shows. But if it was like a CSI show, they could have played the song "I Come from the Land Down Under."
Oh gosh, yeah.
But they didn't do that. Yeah, I thought that would have been funny. All right, but here we go. We're all finished. So are the entertainment companies. I think Disney.
Oh man!
I think Disney. It's gonna be like the villain in a superhero thing. They'll figure some way to escape or something last minute. It'd be like Blofeld last minute or Joker. But Warner Brothers. I feel it's scary times for Warner Brothers. They have that Gollum movie coming out though, right? Gollum for 3 hours. You can sit and watch Gollum for 3 hours, just hanging out with the ring and, getting worse.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't want to watch a Gollum movie.
I don't either.
Gollum. I don't like Gollum.
Gollum is not a
likable character.
That's right.
I made a point in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. One of the things I liked that he did was that Gollum has a split personality. There's Gollum and Smeagol, but both personalities are evil. That's what I got from
I know, that's exactly true. Sashi, you better run. You better take cover.
And your thunder, go take cover. The weather's miserable these days. Okay, The Other Side of Midnight, number 63.
Yes.
That'll be on at 12.
For whatever reason, he has invited me back, so I will be guesting on The Other Side of Midnight tonight. Along with the Tired Midnight blogger and the Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary, and I don't know if anyone else is going to be there, but, Oh, yeah, and Deleted Scenes will probably be there, too.
He will be? I would hope so. It's his own show. We have some unfortunate news tonight. Please tell me this is not the case. Are you joking? Are you kidding me? It's like one of the few shows from last season I liked. I hate Paramount. I know.
I know.
hate them. Did you actually air it on TV, or was it a Paramount Plus exclusive? I thought you could sell it in both countries. You got an Australian series and a... anyway, it's on Pluto TV now. You can watch it for free, Troy, but you're not going to get a full season, it looks like.
Apparently.
Oh, so maybe you don't even want to bother starting it. Oh, no, it said it was renewed for a second season on March 20th. 2024, renewed for a second season. See? Unless it was canceled after season 2. Maybe
that could be.
All right.
Which seems like an odd thing to announce. See how the season does before you cancel it.
I'm sorry, I'm not joking. I'll look into it, Geek Flag. Thank you. That'll be next week's story, headline. No one cares about NCIS Sydney except for me. Okay. I think only the original show is left.
There we go.
All right. So moving on to later this week, tomorrow night. What are you showing? What are you watching?
So tomorrow night, I will be. No, not time travel. We're still working the dreams. So I am pulling in deleted scenes to join me. I am going to be watching for the first time. I've never seen the movie Inception. So we will be checking out Inception, followed by the movie. It's not really a dream movie, but it's got a dream title. The Robin Williams heavy drama, What Dreams May Come, fantasy drama.
It's
intense. Oh yeah, I may very well.
You want to see Troy ugly cry? You got to tune in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's tomorrow night, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, over on my channel.
Then on Tuesday we have Sparkwood and 21.
Live from Sparkwood and 21.
Latest episode of the Dougie Show.
Yes. Finally get a reveal on whose dead body that was. The from the neck down, whose body that was that they found. Yeah. And that will be 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday night.
Nothing going on Wednesday night this week, but right. Thursday on Netter's Network's Thursday Things.
Thursday, 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netter's Network. She'll be sitting down having a confab with
Enigma Severus.
Enigma Severus, thank you. Finding out about his channel, finding out about the games he likes, and find out what we can look forward to on his channel. That's on Thursday.
Cool. And then that brings us to Friday.
I don't know. What do we do on Friday?
We were discussing perhaps doing a stream, what I would consider to be an anti-good old days stream.
Yeah.
Rose-colored glasses, or things we thought maybe not rose-colored glasses, things that we thought were great when we were younger, that in retrospect
maybe don't hold up so well when you grow up. Yeah.
So that should be an interesting stream. I've tasked Troy and myself to come up with at least 3 items, and we'll have a bonus one at the end as well.
I'm just afraid that 1 or 2 of mine might actually set some people up. What? You don't think it's that good? What's wrong with you?
Oh, if you're going against popular opinion, that could get volatile.
We'll see.
Cool. And then on Saturday, what do you have going on?
Saturday, let's see. This past Saturday was the time. So this Saturday will be Netter's Network. So again, keeping in the dream theme, Netter's Retro Cinema on Saturday, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. We will be watching the movie Dreamscape. That's
a good one.
That's Dennis Quaid and
Kate Capshaw.
I was just gonna say Mrs. Steven Spielberg.
She wasn't always Mrs. Steven Spielberg.
That's right. She wasn't at this
funny
time.
Thing. I'm the weirdo that likes Willie Scott the best out of all the Indiana Jones women. I get why
I couldn't
Spielberg
take that screaming anymore. Couldn't take the screaming.
She was terrible. And you know what's funny? In the Lego Indiana Jones game, when you get to the Temple of Doom parts, you know you can play as different Lego characters in those games. So you play as Willie Scott. Her weapon is she screams and it destroys the other characters within range.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like you're going up against the Chinese gangsters and she screams and they fall apart in front of you. I thought that was funny. Anyway.
Geek Flag said he's interested in my thoughts on the ending of Inception when we get there. I hope you'll be joining us. I'll let you know what I think.
Oh, that one's a doozy. I remember that movie.
Yep.
That was a good bargain I got that for, too. I think it was like a post-Christmas bargain. I got that DVD for cheap.
Cool.
I'm trying to think what else is going on. Things were great when we were younger. Mark Hamill, yes. Many things were great when we were younger, but we were thinking of things that we thought were great when we were younger. Now we look back on them, maybe not as much.
Eventually, there will be a rewatch of Corvette Summer. Just saying. In fact, that might be sooner than later, before the summer's over.
And that will bring us to Sunday, where you can check out Deleted Scenes channel for many things. I believe, is that when he does his Western cinema with Outlaw Bill?
Yep.
And then we will have the pre-show, which is unscripted with Deleted Scenes, which you can catch before the stream starts. And then that brings us back around again to Geeky Geezers.
Whatever's going on this week, we'll be talking about.
Which I will have another surprise for the good old days for Troy, unless he has to do something else.
Oh no! Now you're committed. I'm looking forward to it.
Theme here. That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Things that were great when we were younger. Alyssa Milano. I won't argue that.
Yeah, that didn't age well. Let's just put it that way. And I'm not even talking about how she looks.
It's personality more than
anything.
Okay. Y'all have a great week. We will see you next time, and tune into the various channels. Tune into The Other Side of Midnight coming up shortly. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.